Hi everyone, hope you are doing well from wherever you're watching this channel, depending on your time zone. Now, if you check on how William Ruto is operating, you'll find that he's a man who is focusing more on having the best speeches to embrace the white or the West. And apart from that, he's focusing more on getting a loan by appealing to the same people. And this is a different William Ruto from that one of campaign. But he has his character which he has maintained. But in his speeches, he was saying we will not borrow. But now he has borrowed more than 1.8 trillion as of now in Kenyan shillings. So, mambo ni kutafuta speech ya kupigiwa makofi, standing ovation and all that, and appeal, then you get money, funding in terms of ni madeni, you will have to repay. So, there have been a meeting for East Africa head of states in Tanzania. And Ruto has differed with the Tanzania president, Mama Samia Suluhu. If you check on Ruto, is a man who's focusing on when it comes to funding the climate change, borrowing and appealing to the West. But the Tanzania president has a different idea. According to her, Africa should have their own way of funding their climate. When it comes to the issue of dealing with the climate and the budget, they have to have their own financial strategy and have their own way of funding this issue. And this is different from William Ruto. So I wanted to listen to the two statements, then you make your own conclusion between these two leaders. Who is focusing on overburdening the Africa and who has a strategy to strengthen Africa and be independent?
When we had the Africa Climate Summit, the biggest conversation that was in that climate summit is about climate finance. And it comes in different ways. Many of our economies, many of our countries are struggling because of the effects of climate change. Many countries are spending more mitigating the effects of climate change, whether it is drought, whether it is floods, whether it is mudslides. We're spending more money managing the effects of climate change than on health or food security. And to be able to manage the balance between what you are spending on climate change and what you are spending on social service, it is necessary for us to work on climate financing. How do we reform the international financial architecture that was fashioned before the advent of climate change?
Mimi nataka niungane na ndugu wangu Ruto, climate financing, lakini nadhani it's high time sisi wa Afrika tuache kutegemea sana wengine kwenye climate financing. Nadhani tuje na strategies, mbinu ambazo tutakuwa na mifuko yetu wenyewe ya climate financing, kwa sababu kutegemea wengine tunacheleweshwa. Sasa hivi tuko COP28, lakini ahadi zilitolewa kwenye makopu ya nyuma huko, lakini mpaka leo fedha haijatoka. So it's high time tujitambue wa Afrika, tuangalie means and sources of our own climate funding na zile national determined contribution, basi twende tukazitekeleze ipasavyo.
Now we are continuing this panel discussion, but just a quick request for those who are watching and you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing to our channel. Subscribers, I must say thank you so much. And again, to all our viewers, please give this video a thumbs up. And by the way, I had appealed to you about the situation that I am in as of now, I had said that I lost my grandmother and I was requesting for the support to help in preparation for the event, the burial ceremony and all that. Many people have reached out. Thank you for the calls. Thank you for the support. And I can tell you that you are the best people to have as a YouTube community. Thank you so much for the love. I had mentioned some names earlier, and there are other names I had not mentioned. And because some people are not comfortable for disclosing their names, I'm going just to read one name just to appreciate these individuals for reaching out. So I will just read one name. I think in that way, I will have not disclosed your identity. So allow me to mention these names: Osolo, Idalinya, Juma, Rosemary, Oguta, Mary, Judith, Philip, Momanyi, Boaz. Thank you so much for your support. And let us go back to the discussion. Now, the truth is that if you look on Samia Suluhu's statement and William Ruto, Tanzania president is an African who want to fight for Africa and who want Africa to be strong, to have a say on what they want to do, and to be independent. That one is coming out clear. But if you look on William Ruto, we are seeing a man who wants to embrace the white, embrace the West, appeal to them, and be their agent. He wants to make them happy. Even in his speech, he focused more on making these individuals happy and feel comfortable, feel recognized. And all is meant to appeal to them so that they can give him money. Ikuwe ni loan, ikuwe ni aid, whichever. That is his focus. But for how long can you depend on aid? And for how long can you depend on borrowing? Borrowing is not bad. It is good as long as the money has been put into the plan that was meant for. As long as we can see the value, no problem. But borrowing without seeing any tangible project, progress, and the value for the money, it becomes a waste and a big problem, of course, to our economy. So Ruto is that person who is focusing more to get funding from the West. But there's nothing like free funding. These people have their own way of also having their money back. They look for other favors from Africa, in as much they will be funding one thing. That the reality to do this, then we do this. But if you have your own way of funding your own project, if it is climate summit, climate financing or whatever, then these people have no way to dictate anything to you. And you see, most Kenyans believe that William Ruto is a product of the US and UK. Because he's here to serve their interest. I think that's what he's doing as of now. And with all this, there's no way Ruto will run away from these people. He has to depend on them. Because if I put you in power today, you make a joke tomorrow, the same way I put you in power, I will bring you down. So there is differing ideas which does not ever converge between Samia Suluhu and William Ruto. These are two different people with different focus. One is focusing on strengthening Africa, and another one is focusing on depending on donors and the West. So true leadership can be seen in Samia Suluhu, but not William Ruto. He's here to overburden the country. Wakati mtu anakuambia anakupea msaada, then for example, niliona zile miti za mabuyu in cost, they are being exported to US. How do you do that? And why the whole tree inakatwa na inaweka kwa meli inaenda, a huge tree wanakuja hapa, when they give you something, they give you now an ultimatum to follow. Do this, we do this, and in so many ways. So still they end up benefiting more than what they are giving to Africa. Ruto cannot see this. But Samia Suluhu is like, she's following the footstep of the late John Pombe Magufuli, mwenye alisema dhahabu na fedha na mali ya Tanzania ikuwe wa Tanzania. Hapa Kenya, Kenyans are being exploited by those people who are coming in as donors or people who are coming to fund or to help. That's what we should learn away from. But even when Ruto will get this money, kama ni could depend even on those other countries, we can never see the value for that money. Another reality. So their focus is on borrowing, appealing to people to get money, but this money even is never put into the rightful program. So definitely Kenya has a leadership that is focusing on depending on other sources outside for funding, but not having their own way and using their own means. Because if you check on William Ruto's budget, it is higher than Tanzania, higher than Uganda. But Tanzania population is more than Kenya. Uganda iko chini. But why can't we have fund our own activities here? It is because they focus more on diverting this money into other issues. Then they end up borrowing and appealing to the other countries for help. And with that, you end up paying more in a different way.